Two balls and a strike to count on Taylor. Reyes fires, swinging a drive, deep left field. It's his way back. Walk the ball.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into DodgerHeads Live, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Medium Large Sports Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined today by Blake Williams, Matthew Moreno, and soon-to-be Scott Geirman, here to tell you that you had to wait until December 27th. All right, but Teoscar Hernandez, the man that every single person in my mentions has been asking about for the last 2 months, is officially back on basically the deal, Blake, that everybody expected him to sign. 3 years, $66 million. There's some bonuses, deferrals. We'll get into all of that. But the headline, Blake, Teoscar Hernandez is back.
Yeah, it's a good move for the Dodgers. It's kind of what we expected to happen for a very long time. I think everyone on our show said it was like 90% odds plus that he'd be back with the Dodgers. And it took a little bit longer. I'm surprised the contract is the exact value it came out as, especially when you include the deferrals and all that. But I'm happy with it. I hope Teoscar's happy. I'm sure every fan is happy. And it seems like a great deal all around for the Dodgers.
Yeah, Matt, again, I was trying to calm people down repeatedly that it's going to happen. Everybody, like, there are no mystery teams floating around that desperately wanted this guy as much as it was clear the Dodgers wanted him. And it was just a matter of haggling over the amount of deferrals, the signing bonus. Apparently there's a team option involved. Again, we'll get into the specifics in a minute, Matt, but did you ever get to a place in the last few weeks where you really thought that he was going to end up much like Walker Buehler signing a contract with another team?
Not too much. I mean, if this had dragged on for another week or 10 days, then it wouldn't have fully shocked me if the Dodgers just said, okay, look, like, we have to pivot because there are other things we need to figure out with our roster. And I know that I did express once Juan Soto signed, I thought, okay, he went to the Mets. Now, are the Yankees and Red Sox going to get aggressive for Teoscar Hernandez? That didn't happen. And so when that didn't happen, I thought, okay, it's only a matter of time until the Dodgers and Teoscar figure something out. So yeah, I mean, I do think that the Dodgers were the favorite all along, even with, some of the different things that have happened over the past week. But, had this continued, this impasse, the stalemate, whatever you want to call it, had that continued into 2025, I think we would have maybe seen the Dodgers just say, okay, look, like, we have given you our best offer. Like, at this point, you're not accepting it. Like, we have to move on.
The mechanics of this, it's 3 years, $66 million. So 22 is the AAV, which is the low end of what everybody has been reporting. It was 22 to 24 million. He gets 22. He gets $23 million in a signing bonus, as well as $23 million that are deferred. Plus, Matt, a fourth-year team option that is worth $15 million should that ultimately get picked up. What strikes you about, is there one of those numbers that jumps out? Is it the 22 AAV? Is it the 23 in deferrals? Is it the team option? Which part of this contract is most surprising to you?
A tie between, not that they deferred salary, but how much of the salary is deferred, because, there were some crumbs that were dropped along the way. And I see, Jeff, that's a nice cup you have there.
Oh, excuse me. Is that my Freddie Freeman MVP World Series MVP mug that I got for Christmas? I don't know how that got here.
Yeah. Merry Christmas to everybody. Jeff's new cup, Teoscar Hernandez. It's a great time if you're following the Dodgers right now. But the how much salary is deferred surprised me a little bit, just from the standpoint of, like, that seemed to be somewhat of a sticking point. And the team option, that's also a little bit shocking, just because I don't know, like, what are the odds that the Dodgers really pick that up? So I can't imagine, like, who did Teoscar want? Like, was his camp saying, hey, we want a little bit of long-term stability and at least the potential that you keep him around? Like, I guess maybe, but those are the two things that probably surprised me the most.
Well, and look, with a team option, there's a chance maybe there's a few $million as a buyout involved. So, so it's getting reported for 366. You look at Chris Taylor's contract and some of these Max Muncy's with some of these team options coming up. There's typically like somewhere between a $1 and $5 million buyout. So maybe he's got a few $million tagged on there. Blake, I'll ask you the same question. 3 years, $66 million, $23 million signing bonus, 23 deferrals, and then a team option. What jumps out to you about the specifics, according to Jeff Passan?
I'm surprised at the total value of the deal. I thought he would be looking at more after the season he just had. 22 million AAV is pretty low already for a player of his caliber. And when you add in the deferrals and everything, it's probably going to be a bit lower than that for the actual total value. So on the Dodgers end, it seems like a really great value for them. I think Teoscar didn't get the market he was hoping for. The defense is a concern. How his bat ages is a concern. Like, as much as we love Teoscar and as great of a signing it is for the Dodgers right now, there are long-term concerns, and I think that, coupled with him having the qualifying offer attached, really dragged down the value for other teams. So, like, it's pretty in line with where he was hoping and trying to get, but it is a little below what I thought he'd end up getting. So I think just that total value is the most surprising part to me. And related to the team option at the end, I'd be pretty surprised if it isn't just a way to get him some more money with a buyout. It's probably like 5 million or something on there at the end, just so when he eventually becomes a free agent again, he'll get another 5 million added to his deal.
Now, Blake, I know you were skeptical of kind of the length of contract with Teoscar. To somebody like you, because I don't know if I don't love a third year. I definitely would have maybe hated a fourth year on this. But for somebody like me, I know you feel even more strongly. Like, if you look at this, if he had gotten 2 years for 52 million, and now the third year is just a $14 million tack on year. Like, if you think about it that way, it kind of makes me feel a lot better because the AAV is so low. Does that resonate at all with kind of how you feel if you look at it as like a 2-year deal at a higher AAV, and then the third year is kind of a wash?
I think so. Like, that's a fair way to look at it. I said I'd be willing to give him like 270 or something like that, just to have a 2-year deal and give him that high AAV, which it was an extreme example, but that kind of thinking, just going for a higher AAV, shorter term deal. So if he wanted to spread it out an extra year and there is a chance he's still a productive player in that third year, I probably wouldn't bet on that, but like, it's okay to overpay a guy for an extra year just to have him around. And they've kind of done it with some players like Chris Taylor. We're at the back end of that contract, but for a very long time, he was a really productive player on the team. So if you get another ring out of it, like, you really don't care about paying for the extra year. And I think what also helps, like, from that perspective is the Dodgers are going to keep spending money. They're going to keep trying to be competitive no matter what. I don't think probably 20 million AAV or whatever it's going to be with the deferrals added in is going to prevent them from doing something, especially if it's only for 1 year. So if there's a guy on the free agent market or a trade they want to get, like, it's Teoscar's deal isn't going to prevent them from going to make that deal. So I don't really have any problems with giving the third year at the end of the day, especially with the value where it's at.
So Jeff, real quick, Blake made a lot of great points. What I also heard through that, though, was some sadness that the Dodgers did not overpay for Walker Buehler to keep him around, because if you win a World Series, then it doesn't matter, right? Like, that's the argument I've been making the entire time. So I'm glad, Blake, happy to have you on our side of the street now.
Very different scenarios there. Walker Buehler is coming off a very bad year where he was good for 10 innings, and Teoscar is coming off a fantastic year and also a great postseason. So,
okay.
Matt, don't get greedy here, okay? This is the closest we're ever going to get to everybody in the chat being happy and Blake being happy at the same time, okay? So, like, you know, let's just he's got a smile on his face right now. Let's try not to mess with the vibes too much, all right, Matt?
All right, my apologies.
Wait, I'm not happy. Tanner Scott is still a free agent. Where is he? What are they doing? Come on.
I know, and your guy Gleyber Torres signed today, so apologies to you on that. I was thinking of you when I got that update.
Why do you think Teoscar signed so quickly after that? The Dodgers had to move on.
Yeah, exactly. That was what the holdup was. We got a couple of super chats here. Stockton Slap said, we can trade him after year 2 where he can go DH. You know, Blake, I think there's probably some truth to this. Again, if the Dodgers are willing to eat some of that money in the third year or whatever, the defense is what we are most concerned about as far as the third year of this contract. And so there's a reasonable chance there's a team out there that would take a designated hitter for 1 year if Teoscar Hernandez remains somewhat productive offensively, right?
Yeah, I think that's probably a fair take. The defense is the main concern. I still have some concerns about his bat, how it ages. Power hitters tend to not age well, particularly. So, like, it's okay for right now. Like, I'm not concerned about him over the next 2 years, but that third year might be pushing it. And then if you're trying to trade him as a DH, might be a tougher sell if the bat's not there as much. But even if he's like maybe a 110 weighted runs created plus guy, which is a fairly significant drop off from last year, but still a productive player, you probably have to eat a bit of money, but you could still make that work. So I think it is fair logic there.
I should save this for when our guy Scott hops on eventually. But I mean, come on, year 3 is basically going to be JD Martinez in a couple of years, Blake. He's going to have a lot of value to somebody down the road.
Yeah, it won't be the Dodgers with Shohei Ohtani there, but yeah, maybe.
I think I was thinking in my head that 4th-year team option was just like Shohei Ohtani catastrophic injury insurance in the 4th year, where it's like, well, if we need a DH in 4 years for some reason. Stockton slaps with another one. He says, Matt, what was the holdup? Was it the sunflower seed budget? Is that what they were concerned about here?
Maybe they were finagling over what type of sunflower seeds are going to be in the dugout next season.
Yeah. What kind would you prefer, Matt?
Oh, I'm David Jumbo, low sodium all the way.
God. Okay, Blake.
I had these garlic parmesan ones. Drawing a blank on the name of the company right now. I gave Matt some cheddar jalapeno ones from them too.
I haven't cracked those open yet.
You remember the name?
No, I don't. I was trying to. Yeah, I was trying to.
Bougie sunflower.
They also had some cinnamon churro ones.
Ugh, that
were they were solid. I mean, they have a lot of. Oh, they're called Smackin'. They're very popular online. So yeah,
all the kids, Jeff.
David Ranch. Just give me just some classic David Ranch sunflower seeds, and I'll slice the crap out of my mouth, just pounding a whole bag on a road trip or something like that. Here you go. We got another super chat from Nick Blake right up your alley. He says, "Love Teo, Tanner Scott and Kike still possible." The roster is, I believe, we're maybe full at 40 right now. Is either of you keeping track of this?
When it's official, I believe it would be at 40. I think they're at 39 right now. So
okay. So, Blake, are Tanner Scott and Kike Hernandez still possible?
Yeah, I'd be surprised if the Dodgers don't make a trade at some point to clear up some roster space. Like Hunter Fiducia probably has more value to another team.
Hunter Fiducia is just screaming to be traded.
Yeah, I think we identified like one guy on the 40-man roster who they could DFA, but it's pretty crowded right now. I'd have to pull up to remember who it was, but their 40-man roster is in a very tough spot right now.
Yeah, it's to your point. There's not a lot of guys on there that you think could pass through. I mean, the one guy we had talked about, Michael Grove, possibly. I mean, he still very well could get traded, but by everything I can find is he still does have one more option year left, which I thought he was out of options. I think he has one more option year left, according to all the places I've looked. So protecting Jack Dreyer, he's on there. So obviously they would be afraid of him getting claimed because they protected him from the Rule 5 draft, but there's nobody else that screams, like they would pass through waivers for sure. So obviously a Chris Taylor trade is a possibility. James Outman's a guy who could be traded off the 40-man roster at some point, depending on what their sort of long-term view is as well. Austin Barnes could. I was just making sure Matt was still paying attention. Not even a flinch from our guy down there. So, So, I mean, they would have to get creative, Blake, is the point, in order to clear up some space for both Kike and Tanner Scott.
Yeah, I think Kike would sign more towards spring training, because once spring training opens up, then the 60-man opens, and then the Dodgers can put their injured guys who are going to be out for a while, like Bruce Gratterall, on the 60-day, open up a roster spot. I don't think we're going to see Kershaw sign until spring training, when they could just immediately 60-day IL him. So it's going to be a little tough right now. You kind of got a roster crunch. You could probably fit like one more guy if you're willing to DFA Grove or Fiducia, or just trade them for some random prospect or something, which I'd still be surprised if one of them isn't traded at some point, or some kind of trade to open up roster space. But yeah, they're in a very tough spot right now, but it's not going to prevent them from going and add a Tanner Scott level player if they want to make that move.
Yeah, and to your point, once spring training opens, you mentioned Brewster. I mean, there's like 5 other dudes that are headed immediately to the 60-day IL. Once this thing, I mean, half of the pitchers, I think, on the 40-man roster are going to be on the 60-day IL when it starts. So Kershaw will not be around, but yeah, great question, Nick. And we were waiting for you, Laura. Laura has entered the chat. Teoscar's back. Let's go. Laura, great to have you. Congratulations. We told you, Laura, that it was going to be okay, that Teoscar was going to be back. So we appreciate the super chat. And he's back. Our guy, where's our guy Scott at? He said he was hopping on. Is he just like champagne? He spilled champagne all over the living room, or what? He was in the chat at one point.
Making sure his hair is perfect, getting completely set up for this.
Yeah, geez Louise. Got to get his got to get his whole vibe right. So again, if you missed it, Teoscar Hernandez, yes, he's back on a 3-year, $66 million deal. It's got a $23 million signing bonus, a $15 million 4th-year team option, and $23 million in deferrals. I love this tweet from Jeff Passan. The Los Angeles Dodgers are a machine. Not only do they print cash, their willingness to spend it in pursuit of winning is unmatched. They put their money where their mouth is. Others could benefit greatly from the same approach. They choose not to. There you go. And then somebody, I love Passan. My favorite Passan thing, just as a side note, is him responding to the people who respond to his tweet. So the first response is, other people don't put contracts on layaway, Jeff. And then he cites like 12 examples of other players that got deferred money. So, but this is the truth, right, Matt? A, they print money. B, they spend money. And everybody else in the league, to some degree, not to the degree the Dodgers do it, but to some, like this contract right here, $66 million, 3 years with 23 deferred. Anybody in the league could have afforded this contract, Matt, and they choose not to.
Yeah, I mean, keeping it to Teoscar specifically, I mean, the Yankees, the Blue Jays, the Red Sox, right, at one point were all mentioned as kind of serious bidders along with the Dodgers for him, having interests in that. It wasn't like Juan Soto came off the board and the Dodgers quickly pivoted to make sure they locked up Teoscar Hernandez. Like,
right.
He was out there, and we put up an article today on DodgerBlue.com that the Giants were maybe going to be a possibility as well. So yeah, I mean, there were these teams that certainly could have been aggressive. It came out recently within the past few days that the Red Sox actually weren't being overly aggressive in their pursuit of Teoscar still, in spite of everything that was kind of going on. And so, yeah, I mean, maybe if it's not with him, maybe it was something with him specifically. Maybe there were concerns with, doing 3 years and fine. But yes, there are other players available. I mean, look, Corbin Burns is still out there. Like, there are other free agents. Zach Flaherty hasn't signed. Walker Buehler hadn't signed until recently.
Santander.
And even he got a 1-year deal. Santander is still out there. Like, figure out a way. I get, the Dodgers specifically, if we want to broaden this a little bit, they do have an advantage from the standpoint of being in a larger market, having their TV deal, like, affords them a little bit more comfort in, doing a bunch of these contracts, I think you could say, right? Like, it makes it a little bit easier. Obviously, Guggenheim being the ownership group makes it a lot easier too, because if there's anybody you want managing your money, it's probably somebody from them. But yes, I mean, the narrative, I know we've discussed it several times on this show, this idea that the Dodgers are the only team doing deferred salary and this and that, like, it's so tired. And I wish, like, we would kind of not we, but I wish there would be kind of an evolution of just moving past that. Like, if you want to say Dodgers keep trying to spend money to win a World Series, like, let's go back to that. Honestly, like that, I thought that was annoying, but let's just go back to that of, hey, the Dodgers are just trying to spend all their money to win a World Series. Like, I mean, yeah, if they do that and they win a World Series, then nobody's going to care.
Yeah. And I'm not entirely disagreeing with you. I think it's fair. The Dodgers are doing this to a degree that has never been done by anybody. And some people say, well, it's just Ohtani. No, take Ohtani off, and the Dodgers still have like 5 of the 6 or 7 biggest deferrals that have ever been done in Major League Baseball, or at least are active contracts with deferrals. And so I think there's something to it. But the point is, this is a tool that is available to every single person, every single team. And most of these teams aren't even using the money that they have, let alone like some complicated tool such as deferrals. So, no pity for me from the other teams that are not signing guys like Teoscar to a contract. And it's worth pointing out the Dodgers, can afford to pay Teoscar $66 million. But to the conversation Blake and I were having earlier, they can also afford to take a risk on a guy like Teoscar, because I think there are some smaller market teams that would argue it's not that we can't pay this contract. It's what if in 18 months he's not very good? The Dodgers can be like, whatever, $22 million AAV, write it off, pay the $5 million buyout, and we move along. Whereas, again, this contract would not cripple anybody, but there are teams that would cry poor, I think, a little bit more. So without further ado, our guy is here. Hat on, Blake. So he wasn't getting his hair done. We're not really sure what was happening. I guess, Scott, maybe the champagne spilled somewhere in between the front door and the bedroom. But the floor is yours, my friend. Teoscar Hernandez is a Dodger for the next 3 years.
It's a good time. I was at the gym, buddy. I fell to my knees right in the middle of the gym, middle of the back day, just dropped down. Had to get the confirmation from Jeff Passan. What's up, chat? What's up, guys? What an unbelievable Christmas gift, man. Just some patience. Just some patience is what we all needed to have here. I mean, we all talked about it. The more you could read how the situation was going, it all panned out that the Red Sox looked like they weren't making a deal. The market for Teoscar was the Dodgers. It was the best landing spot for him. It was going to be the most competitive contract out there for him in a place he wanted to be. So posturing on both sides, we just needed a little bit of patience.
Yeah.
Got him.
And they didn't even make us wait till January, you know? Scott, the question that I asked all these folks was 3 years, $66 million. So it's a 22 AAV, $23 million signing bonus, $23 million in deferrals, and then a $15 million fourth year team option. What of those numbers jumps out to you the most? What's the most surprising to you?
I don't think, I mean, obviously the years for sure. That's something that we've been kind of on, but honestly, the one more with the deferred money that's come out like that that came out that he took the deferred money. I would say that the AAV is kind of in line. He was a step above. We comped him to like Tyler O'Neill, right? And he signed for a deal that was good for his thing, injury concerns there. But with Teoscar Hernandez, he had a career year. He had an absolute career year for what he produces on the field as far as, you know, what we saw all year. We talked about Teoscar, the big moments found him. And it says something a lot about a player that consistently performs in those big spots. I'm not saying that you just pay a guy flat out on that. But as far as what guys getting paid this offseason, Teoscar was the best bat left on the market that came with all the accolades you could want out of a guy. Career year, performs, all of it. I don't know if any of the numbers, Jeff, is like eye-popping to me, but it's, you know, I would just say it's the extra year. I would say it's the third year and then the fourth option. And I think I saw you guys talking about that. Maybe it just boosted the overall value of the contract. And that's something that he could have got on board with and ultimately got the deal done.
Yeah. Yeah. We were saying that it's possible there's like a $5 million buyout. So he'll ultimately get something closer to 71 million over the 3 years, with everybody's expectation that they would just buy out that team option would be our guess. So we'll see. All right. Some more super chats here to get to. Stockton Slap says Blake looks like he could be 55 or 15. He's definitely closer to one of those numbers than he is to the other. That's the only answer you'll get. Big Bob says, Teo, late Christmas present. Roki will make it Happy New Year. Happy holidays, Dodger faithful. 2024 champs prepping for the repeat. Let's go. We mentioned the 40-man roster earlier. The good news here, Blake, is that Roki Sasaki, if he were to become a Dodger in a few weeks, would not automatically take up a 40-man roster spot. He could just basically be signed to a minor league deal. He would be very quickly added to the 40-man roster once the season began. But as far as the mechanics of the 40-man go, he would not have to be added. So that's one nice piece about the hopeful pursuit of Roki Sasaki, Blake.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we all know the Dodgers are going to be very aggressive trying to get Sasaki. And Friedman has come out and said they're going to be aggressive trying to get Sasaki. Most people think the Dodgers are favored to get Sasaki, so this won't affect their pursuit of that. Nothing else they do in this offseason is going to affect their pursuit of that. And they're going to try and get him. They're going to do everything they can to get him, and hopefully it works out.
Yeah, absolutely. Scott, we were just talking earlier. One thing is this does put the Dodgers at a full 40-man roster. So there's still conversations out there. I imagine their interest in Tanner Scott has not been changed. I can't imagine. Again, the only way that the Tanner Scott thing would change is if the Dodgers have some imaginary budget and that money was either going to go towards Teoscar or a reliever. But Scott, I don't think any of us believe the Dodgers are operating like that, right?
No. The blueprint's been set out for us, Jeff. Like they've laid it out. They intend to spend, they intend to make moves to make them better. Cost is not something that they're focused on. They've got the business side of Major League Baseball and professional sports down. They've got the best bargaining chip out there in Shohei Ohtani. They've captivated a complete audience, a nation. So it's like they're drawing as many eyes, they're bringing as many fans to the ballpark as anybody. They're performing on the highest of levels of anybody. It's all clicking right now. They're going to do whatever it takes. I don't think anything's off the table.
Yeah, I'm with you. Tanner Scott, a possibility. Sasaki, a possibility. Kike Hernandez, a possibility. Just rapid fire real quick. Blake, I'll start with you. Other than those three, would you? I feel like I would be surprised if the Dodgers make a move or a signing that is not Tanner Scott, Kike Hernandez, or Roki Sasaki. Do you agree with that, or do you think there's possibility for a fourth move out there?
I would be shocked if they do anything like very noteworthy. I could still see them adding another pitcher if they don't feel like completely confident in the health of someone, or they think Kershaw is going to be out a little longer, or like they don't end up getting Sasaki. I think some kind of veteran back-end pitcher would make some sense for them on a one-year deal. They're always going to look to add an upgrade in their bullpen. Friedman has told us so.
Just not that veteran pitcher, Matt. Any other veteran pitcher on a one-year deal other than that guy?
Right. Yeah. Who would want a two-time World Series champion in their rotation? I guess not Blake and not the Dodgers, apparently.
I mean, Madison Bumgarner is available, Matt. He's got 3 rings, so
There we go.
you want to go back in time a bit here.
All right, let's
I
get us back on track.
I still wouldn't be totally shocked if we see a Lux trade at some point. I think at this overall, it's looking more like their lineup is set going into the season, but I still think Mookie's best position long term is second base. And if they want to bring in someone like Ha-Sung Kim and kind of fix their shortstop position a little bit more, wouldn't totally surprise me. I think it's pretty low odds, but I don't think we can necessarily rule that out yet still because like I don't think Gavin Lux is part of the long-term plan on this team. So if you want to capitalize on selling him off with 2 years remaining on his contract, coming off a solid second half where a team might bet on his like bounce back type, I could see it. Still don't think it's likely, but I wouldn't totally rule it out.
Yeah, I could see a move where it's like Lux and maybe even, you know, an Outman or a Cartaya or somebody like that. And it's sort of like the Michael Busch trade. I mean, honestly, it could be like the Michael Busch trade where it's Lux and Michael Grove, which would be the saddest day of my Dodger fandom, I think. But it was Michael Busch and Yency Almonte that got sent out in exchange for 2 prospects coming back. And so I could see a way where it's something like that. And then you just immediately replace Gavin Lux with Ha-Sung Kim, who offensively is probably pretty comparable. You're just getting a guy who's a shortstop instead of a second baseman. So I don't think that would be crazy. Matt, what about for you? Kike Hernandez, Roki Sasaki, Tanner Scott. If the Dodgers added a name other than those 3, would you be surprised?
Not surprised because I do think I think Tanner Scott is probably the biggest, like, I don't want to say wild card, but the least likely maybe of those 3. And so assuming that maybe they don't sign Tanner Scott, it wouldn't shock me if then they go and find, you know, an under the radar relief pitcher.
Yeah, that was one thought I had, is like a Ryan Helsley or somebody like that who might be available. Scott, any other names for you other than the Sasaki, Tanner Scott, and Kike Hernandez?
As far as like big name guys,
Just
I would say
guys that you'd be surprised if the Dodgers went out and got.
I think they're pretty focused on bringing players in that will fit, you know, what they're going with here. And I think the names that we kind of know about are the ones that we all like are on their radar too. Anybody outside of that, yeah, I would be shocked is a very strong word. I would be very, very surprised if they go outside of those. Tanner Scott, for the reason that relief pitcher, is he going to pay big money for that? And Andrew Friedman, Kike Hernandez just feels like a given. They could just do that. If they do, they do. Then it's a perfect fit there. And then you had Ha-Sung Kim, right? Yeah. So like that's somebody. I would say that's probably the biggest wild card of them all for me. I would say so.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, that would have to be paired with a Gavin Lux being shipped out, I think, which again, it would be ironic because they would then be fielding a full team in the field that are all making $10 million or more, presumably, if Ha-Sung Kim were signed, which is, I mean, right now they have one guy making less than that, but which would be pretty crazy. Matt?
This isn't the time for that. We don't need to completely send this off the rails, but at some point, are we going to have a Ha-Sung Kim versus Kike Hernandez discussion? Because I don't know if they necessarily like re-sign, add both of those guys next year.
I could see Kim, like, again, if Lux were moved, I think Kim would be coming in to be the everyday shortstop, and then Kike's in the exact same role he would be if they signed him today. I don't think Ha-Sung Kim would be coming for less than an everyday role, would be my guess.
That's probably fair, but then what are the odds that like all 3 of those things are happening then, that you're able to trade Lux, you sign Kim, and you re-sign? So that's why, like, it come down to Kim or Kike at some point. And I'm just asking questions here.
I like it.
Well,
throwing it out there.
Lux is going to be in the Nolan Arenado trade where they also get Helsley back.
That's right.
You have to consider that.
Okay. Well, yeah. Then if they can do that one first, then it makes everything else a lot easier then.
Okay, we got a few more super chats from Stockton. We'll rapid fire these. He says, what percentage do you put Sasaki at for the Dodgers? I am going to say 40%. Blake?
I'll say 55.
Matt?
35.
Scott?
60%, baby.
Look at this guy.
Ooh.
Just all the confidence in the world. I like it. He also points out that the Yankees got 4 great players combined for less money than Soto. That's Devin Williams, Max Fried, Paul Goldschmidt, and Cody Bellinger. How could I forget? So, yeah, I don't know if we would all agree that they got 4 great players, but they got 4 players. That's for sure.
I'm taking Soto still.
Well, I know. I was trying to avoid the bait, but go ahead, Blake. Take the bait.
No, any team would trade all 4 of those players plus for Juan Soto. you're getting less value out of those 4 than you're getting out of Juan Soto. The Yankees definitely downgraded this offseason. Don't let
Scott,
the narratives fool you.
favorite Christmas present. Stockton Slap wants to know.
My favorite, I got some new shoes, man. I'm a big shoes guy for what I've got. So I got some nice new shoes, man. This hat, I'm surprised you didn't ask me about it. Nice little Dodgers A's 1988 hat.
I like it. I know. Yeah. I needed to exert some self-control. Otherwise I would have purchased. Matt, your favorite Christmas present?
I don't necessarily know if I have one. I think everything was all pretty equal. I'm not great at receiving gifts, so I prefer to just be a gift giver.
Wow, look at this guy.
Yeah.
Blake?
I got some polo sweatpants I've been wanting for a while that are very colorful and fun.
Oh man.
And I'm wearing them right now. And yeah.
Stay seated, Blake. We're okay. We'll take your word.
I'll send a picture in the group chat.
Yeah, can't wait.
Is this going to be like Scott, was it a jacket or a sweatshirt that Blake had?
It looks just like that, Matt. It's like
no, it's way more over the top.
Oh,
I didn't think that was possible.
Yep.
I love it. I got a new driver. That was mine. And before you think that's a high roller move, your boy got the Costco brand driver. So we're cooking with gas over here. Costco sells golf clubs.
Oh, golf! I thought you were saying you found a new driver to take you to Trader Joe's and stuff like that, like to run.
No, we're keeping the same driver we had. She's great.
Okay.
Yeah. Although I got to try this. Speaking of Trader Joe's, I haven't tried the Trader Joe's Ranch, so that was a Starkin's latest big claim. Zenji says, "I'd love to see Robert Jr. He just seems like the perfect Dodger. So glad Teo is back." Scott, I was going to come to Blake first because I know he likes him, but I haven't heard from you. I don't entirely know what Zenji means by the perfect Dodger. Is it because he's never played more than 100 games, like more than once in his career? Is that what makes him the perfect Dodger? Or honestly, I look at Robert Jr. He does not scream Dodger to me. Does he scream Dodger to you?
I mean, like for what he is, I mean, sure. Like he fits the bill for what they would need. Frees up Tommy Edman there, allows him to go to shortstop, gives him some versatility there, provides a controllable outfielder. But Zenji screaming Dodger, like I don't know what about him screams Dodger. I haven't seen much of that. He's played on a losing team for a bit. You have to see him in a good environment to see how like that to come out and see how he could be a perfect Dodger. But for what the need could be, sure, yeah.
Blake, I know you're a Robert Jr. guy. Talk
for the
me
Dodgers.
Through it. Is he still a fit even with Teoscar? I guess let me ask you a good question instead of just saying words and then looking at you.
I think it's more about how confident they are in Gavin Lux. Like the obvious answer here is you put Robert in center field, you put Edman at shortstop and Mookie at second. And I prefer that over Gavin Lux. I think there's more potential for offensive upside there. I think you improve the defense overall just by getting Mookie off the shortstop position. And I think that makes them better now and probably in the long run. It's a little bit of a cleaner fit without having to worry about can Mookie handle shortstop? What are they going to do there? So I think it still makes sense. Whether it happens, probably unlikely, but it makes sense.
Yeah. Matt, I forget where you're at on Robert Jr.
For the right cost, I could have been talked into it, but I'm not sure if now when we had the discussions about him, it was very much of like an alternative to Teoscar Hernandez, right? If he doesn't re-sign. Now at this point, I'm not sure if from a money on field, like roster wise, it absolutely makes sense because you can put him in center field, move Tommy Edman to shortstop. I think we're all in agreement that Mookie Betts, maybe not Jeff, at least 75% of us are in agreement. Okay, that Mookie
I think
Betts
he can play shortstop. He would be better off at second base. We agree on that.
Okay, so yeah, like he should be. If they're not going to be playing him in right field, he should be playing second base. So at least Robert Jr. would allow the Dodgers to do that, but I'm not sure if financially. I know that it is team options beyond this year and all that stuff. I'm still not sure if the Dodgers would want to make that financial commitment unless, as you mentioned earlier, maybe Lux and Outman are sent in a trade because the Dodgers need to open up 40-man roster moves anyway. But also, I mean, the White Sox are certainly going to want a lot more than that. So then it comes down to if you're the Dodgers, are you willing to, pay? I don't want to call it a premium, but pay the price for him. And if it maybe only ends up being a 1-year thing, like what if he still struggles and they decide, okay, like we're just going to cut bait rather than continue investing? Because I think Next year, it's what, 20 million, and then it's 15 or 12, like beyond
15
that.
next year, and then two $20
15.
million team options after.
Yeah, see, so that's a bit much.
He does have a no trade clause, guys. So there's a chance that maybe he just wants to stay in Chicago. And never mind. Okay. Well, the comp I've made, and we'll just rapid fire this one, is I think they could go two directions if they're going the route that we're talking about of moving Mookie Betts off short. They could go get a center fielder, or they could go get a guy like Bo Bichette potentially if he's available. He's less believed to be available, 1-year deal, etc. I would prefer Bichette to Robert Jr., but I think I'm in the minority. Blake, you would prefer Robert Jr., right?
Yeah.
Scott, you would prefer Robert Jr. over Bichette?
Absolutely. I'm not a Bo Bichette guy.
Matt?
Probably, but it's not. I'd have to like, and I know we don't know this. Like, I'm torn. I'd have to like know what the costs were going to be.
Yeah, because the irony is the profiles are similar in that we're talking about guys who were really good and then last year weren't. I would say Bo Bichette's less of an injury concern. Robert has more team control, so you could talk yourself into kind of pros and cons on both of them.
My thing, real quick, just to follow up with that, it's like you bring Bo Bichette in-house. You're not going to be like, okay, we'll just see what we get for this year. How long is he under contract for? This year, and that's it?
One more year.
Just one more year. So you're bringing Bo Bichette in just for the 1 year, and you've got to be comfortable paying him, or you're just going to let him walk. If you bring Luis Robert in, are you more comfortable keeping him for the next few years than you are just having Bo Bichette for 1 year and just letting it ride to stopgap, like fix that at shortstop for the 1 year? Or would you rather just go somewhere else? I would just prefer to go somewhere else than, orchestrating a trade to bring in Bo Bichette just for the 1 year that he hopefully bounces back.
And again, part of it is like, I don't think Luis Robert, like, I'm not sure you're going to be picking up $20 million team options a year from now. The year that he just had. I mean, he's played 68, 98, 145, and 100 games the last 4 seasons and was terrible last year. Like every argument that has been pushed against Bo Bichette, Luis Robert was just as bad, if not worse in some categories last year. So again, I think both guys are flawed, but it's an interesting conversation. Want to give a shout out to everybody in the chat, live with us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter. We greatly appreciate you. Almost 4,000 people. Again, the good news of the day, Teoscar Hernandez is back with the Dodgers, a 3-year, $66 million contract. He gets $23 million up front, $23 million that's deferred, $20 million, I guess, spread out over the 3 years in between, and then a $15 million team option after that as well.
And
so go ahead,
let's not
Matt.
forget, they still owe him, I think it's $8.5 million from his last deal. Like, that was deferred too. So he's got 31 plus million coming down the line after he's no longer on the Dodgers.
Yeah, and I just also, for the chat, I want to know, Blake just sent us a photo of these sweatpants, and holy smokes is all I can say about that. So I can hold my phone up here, Blake. There we go. That's what we're working with, folks.
There we go.
That's what we're working with.
These are fantastic.
Polo brand, like incredible. Real Polo brand?
They are Polo brand. No, they are Polo brand. I don't think it.
Are you going to wear those out? Like, are those just to wear around the house thing? Or?
No, I wore them out today with a plain black shirt. They're great.
It's amazing. It's just Blake walking around Life Day, walking around
fries in the bag.
Yeah. Do you have we need to get they got to have a matching sweatshirt, right? Would you go?
I have a sweatshirt that matches it, but it's not like that crazy. It's just Polo with like red, yellow, blue, and green letters, and that's it. And it has like a red pocket on the front. So,
okay, there we go. We got some folks saying that if you make it out to Japan, that you'll have to wear those around.
I absolutely would.
Okay,
we got some supporters here.
I love Blake, man. That's my guy. Blake
sweatpants now trending. There you go. So, there you go. Stockton Slap. I don't understand some of these super chats from Stockton Slap, but he's a fan. I think he's a pro. You owning sweatpants, I think, is the key here. He also says only bad offseason move has been Mookie at shortstop. I think 3 of the 4 people on your screen in front of you would agree with that statement. And then he also says Bichette is living off of his dad's mullet, which it was a sweet mullet, to be fair to Dante Bichette. Man, those Colorado Rocky teams, Matt, like, I mean, you're closest to my age. Scott's closer to my age. Blake's a young kid. Blake doesn't remember Vinny Castillo and Bo Bichette, or excuse me, Dante Bichette, Larry Walker. Larry Walker was a freaking hog. I mean, those teams were good, Matt.
Yeah. It's a wonder that
Andre Scalaraga.
each hit 60 home runs out playing in Coors Field. Yeah, I mean, it was not fun watching the Dodgers having to pitch to those guys out in Denver.
Yeah, Blake, do you remember any of these names, or is this before your time?
He's
I know
Googling
who
them
they
right
are,
now.
but I didn't watch any of them play.
Scott, you remember those days?
Every hitter in their lineup batting close to well over 300. Yeah, man.
I don't feel like they were ever that competitive. Like, it's not like they won anything, but their lineup was sick. Larry Walker was so good. I mean, look, steroid era. Yep. Coors Field, got it. All of it. Like, just go Google Larry Walker's like baseball reference. That dude was cooking at his prime. So crazy. Todd Helton. Todd Helton was later though. I think maybe young Todd Helton was there. Ellis Burks. There we go. Mike Hampton. Yeah. They paid big money for Mike Hampton and he went and was awful. Was that where Dreifert was going to go too? I don't know. That's maybe
I remember. And Common Sense is bringing up a great point that Nomo no hitting the Rockies at home is crazy. Still the only one.
Shout out to the tornado.
I think that is from his no hitter also. Like literally, it was made that night too.
Oh, this one? Oh, this was like this is like from the.
I'm excited.
Jeez Louise. Okay, I was getting excited there. I was like, I don't remember. Guys,
yes, run with it.
I had somebody DM me today who lives in the area, knows I'm a Dodgers fan. They're like, hey, I went to the Walker Buehler jersey giveaway day whenever it happened. He's like, I just found an unopened one. Do you want it? I was like, my goodness, I don't have a Walker Buehler jersey. Now I've got a Walker Buehler jersey. So that happened like 10 minutes, within 10 minutes of Teoscar signing. So it's been a great day over here. We got a little bit of time. So let's go ahead, throw some questions in the chat.
Well,
Scott, I want to come back to you first.
here.
Oh, go ahead.
Real quick. I got my hoodie up here too.
Oh, you just made it seem like just the letters were in the colors.
No, yeah, it's colorful.
Yeah, I need a full you in the full getup out there at Disneyland. Next time you're at Disneyland, I want the full getup and get yourself a picture in front of the castle.
I hardly ever wear a sweatshirt or anything to Disneyland though. Never gets cold.
I don't live in Southern California.
You're gonna have to now. You're gonna have to now.
Tied around the waist, maybe.
Yeah, I guess. I don't really do that. I have a backpack I could put it in.
There you go. Polo backpack, colorful backpack.
I have 3 different colored backpacks, and they're all like bright colored.
This guy's cooking.
The matching polo backpack is coming next Christmas.
There you go. Eden says, "Oh, look at that, Will Smith and Austin Reeves." I think we've talked about this, Eden, and that's just the 10 out of 10 little pick there. Opening day lineup. So everybody on the offensive side, is Ohtani the hitter is expected back by opening day, right?
Yes.
I love how I have to talk about him as if he's 2 different people. No. Ohtani the pitcher will not be ready, but Ohtani the hitter will be. Okay, so Ohtani leadoff, Mookie Betts second, Freddie. Oh, will Freddie Freeman be back?
Yes.
Okay, Freddie Freeman third. Who's batting fourth? Teoscar fourth. I mean, I guess some of this might depend on what pitcher. Muncy 5.
Mm-hmm.
Will Smith 6.
Get it out. I know it hurt. I know it hurts you.
No, that's fine. Hey, 6 is higher. Look, I thought you all were going to argue Blake's ready to say he should be batting 8. So
I think you put Nolan Arenado ahead of Will Smith.
Get out of here. Arenado's batting 9th if he's in this lineup. Conforto 7, and then Edman 8, Lux 9. Or you flip those two because whoever you want kind of is the guy right in front of. Maybe it's Edman 9, just right in front of. Not because he's worse than Lux.
I don't think they'd go Conforto and Lux back to back with 2 lefties.
Okay, there you go. So I don't know, Scott. That's a decent. I would say a decent 1 through 9, right?
It's the best in Major League Baseball by a wide margin.
I
don't think it's close. We talked last year in the middle of the season. We looked around at the American League, like who even comes close? Who even sniffs the lineup? And it's hard. You're hard pressed to find another lineup top to bottom that even comes close.
Yeah. I remember the joke, like when we were talking about if Teoscar was going to come back and somebody said like, I know outside of the top 3, I'm concerned. I'm like, when the top 3 is those 3, you have nothing to be concerned about with the rest. I mean, that's like the perspective to have is you could look at basically every segment of the Dodgers team. And even if it's Conforto, Edman, and Lux 7, 8, and 9, you could not like 1 or 2 of those guys, but nobody has a better 7, 8, 9 than those 3, I would argue.
Well,
So-
also one of those three is not like the other two, and I'll leave it at that.
Oh, big Michael Conforto guy, huh?
Yes, sure.
The nerd stats.
That's
Matt
fine.
loves the nerd
Yeah.
stats all of a sudden.
Yes.
You
Man,
got eye
baby.
test on Conforto, Matt?
I have not done it yet. Maybe after we hop off this video, I'll go to YouTube and pull up some Michael Conforto hitting highlights.
Hey, the nerd stats like that guy. You got 3 fans of Michael. Well, I guess 4 now. 4 fans of Michael
Yeah.
Conforto on here.
Real quick, I just want to confirm I don't actually want Nolan Arenado. I'm just joking around, so you don't have to worry about me being the GM.
Yeah. Kevin says Tanner Scott or Roki Sasaki. Scott?
Oh man.
This isn't.
Scott,
I'll just set
you
the
shouldn't
stage
have to
here.
think about this at all.
I
man.
think it's
Come on.
I'll make
Somebody says
I'll
Scott,
sort of
if it's
make the
me,
case.
if it's me or Sasaki, buddy. It's
Sasaki,
It's
obviously.
Sasaki.
Sasaki's
It's-
way less money, way more years of team control.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a 0% chance. Like, I think it's a greater than 0% chance that maybe he's not all that he's hyped up to be, as good as it is. So I think it's still Sasaki. You're saying Sasaki, Scott,
Yes.
Blake, you're saying
Yeah.
Sasaki. Matt, you want to zag here? As you've been
Sure.
famous to do?
I'll bring balance to our show. I know I'm still outnumbered, but I would say that you could make an argument for Tanner Scott being a better choice. You could make the argument. I'm not necessarily going to, but you could make that argument.
Andrew Friedman earlier this offseason said Sasaki has the potential to be the best pitcher in baseball in the world.
Well,
He's
that was also
23.
his-
He's going to cost $5 to sign. Like,
Yeah.
there's no debate here.
That was his early recruiting pitch. To
I was going
Roki,
to say,
making
when
sure-
I'm not shocked to see that he said nice things about a guy who's a free agent and who has all the power to choose which team he's going to come to. Let's see. Any more? I don't know if we have any more questions.
we got
Money
a
said
super chat from Gen G.
Blake
too.
trolling. I'm shocked. So there you go. Okay, Zenji with another one. If Mookie listened to the intrusive thoughts and beamed those Yankees fans, how much is the ball worth? It's amazing. It's
more
got
than
more or less
the one
than
that
Aaron
Judge
Judge.
dropped.
Yeah.
Oh, way more. And that one I would understand. Like the Judge one, like Jeff, you and I discussed it. Like wanting, I know we were in disagreement, but wanting to own that, like I didn't fully understand it.
the awesome.
This Mookie one, I could see getting up.
Maybe you got the dude on the right, just a little blood splatter on the ball as well from his temple. Maybe Scott, what do you think? $100K? Would you pay if you had disposable income? Would you pay $100K for a ball that Mookie beamed off one of those two clowns' foreheads?
I would pay a hefty amount for that baseball. Correct. Yes.
And more than the Judge drop fly ball. You agree with Matt? There's a gap between those two.
Yes. That would be I think for a lot of Dodger fans, yes. We all felt pretty strongly about that. So did Mook.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. Great one. Signs stealing scandal. I love it. Olmedo Signs, just a professional hitter. Blake, were you around for the Olmedo Signs days?
No.
Oh
Oh man.
Just
I still remember being in the stadium when he got pinch hit. It was just euphoric.
electric.
Yes.
I think-
Professional hitter, Blake. You want to know what a professional hitter looks like? Take a look at that
That's
face
it.
right there. That's a professional hitter. After Snell and Treinen, any more Blakes that Blake wants to bring on the roster? I'm trying to think of any other Blakes that I know of out there.
Blake Wolston on the Diamondbacks is pretty intriguing. He probably wouldn't be
Shocking.
in,
He likes it. You want to go throw the Diamondbacks hat on while you make that pitch,
I-
Blake?
I
You
was
got
just-
it there.
I was just about to say, like, he probably wouldn't be a top 6 or 7 option in the Dodgers rotation, but I think there's some upside and intrigue there. So I don't know any others off the top of my head. I think the Giants have a backup catcher,
Blake
Sabol or
Perkins.
something like that.
Blake Perkins.
I've heard of that. Is he a Brewer or something?
He's a Brewer.
Brewers
Yeah.
outfielder.
Doesn't seem to be very good.
Yeah.
We could bring Casey. Would Casey Blake count? Oh, there's
Sure.
a guy
I
from
was-
1920 to 1937 named Sheriff Blake. That was his name, Sheriff Blake. That'd be
Yeah.
sweet.
I was a big Blake DeWitt guy. I have a baseball with Blake DeWitt and Casey Blake's signatures on it. It's pretty cool. Got them both on the same day.
Big Blake DeWitt guy, former top prospect.
I had his jersey. I had some of those box seats one time when I was a kid, and DeWitt saw my jersey, came over, signed for me, and then left, didn't sign for anyone else. So that was cool.
Blake DeWitt is like, as a Gavin Lux guy, Blake DeWitt is the horror story. He's the guy that was like Gavin Lux of, I mean, what are we talking about? 15 years ago. It just didn't work. It just didn't work out. So sad stuff there. All right, Scott G, you got to go.
Buddy.
Congratulations on Teoscar Hernandez. As we said, we've preached patience. We said, don't worry, folks, it's going to get done. I know you made a montage. You were a little nervous there, but congratulations. Nothing to be afraid of anymore.
Maybe I think that montage might have been what pushed it across the line. We might need to give Scott some credit here on. He posted it the other day. Was it few days ago, maybe? And now here we are. Teoscar is back.
I just framed my autograph photo last night.
There we go.
I'm cooking. Like I get my Edmund. I get my What are we doing? But all right, guys, absolutely chat. It's great to see you, everybody.
Just got
what a day. Later, guys.
All right, Blake. Any final thoughts on your end? I mean, if we've got some questions, we can get to them. I don't see any in the chat. But as far as you go, Blake, just we've had 45 minutes talking through this. You have been skeptical of a Teoscar Hernandez contract that lasted more than 2 years. They signed him for 3. Now that he's here, like, do you find yourself kind of talking yourself into it? Do you find yourself saying, oh, the AAV isn't as bad as I thought, so now I'm okay with it? Like, where are you at?
I kind of figured it would take 3 years. So, like, as much as I wanted them to stay 2 years, I think Andrew Friedman said it best. If you're rational about every free agent, you're going to finish 3rd on every free agent. So that's just how it goes. Like, you're going to end up overpaying with some kind of way you don't like, either more money or more years. Like, I'm totally fine with the contract. It seems very fair on the Dodgers' end. I'm happy Teoscar got paid. He deserves it. Great player, great person. Happy to have him around. It fills the Dodgers' like last huge remaining need. So now everything else in the offseason, it's just what can we upgrade instead of what do we need to focus on going to get? And I think that's a really good position to be in already. If they don't make any other moves the rest of this offseason, they're going to be by far the best team in baseball again. They're going to be World Series favorites by far once again. So they're just in a really good spot right now. I don't have any issues with the Teoscar deal. I like it overall. We might regret it a bit in that 3rd year and be like, well, should they have done 2, push for that? But that's how free agency works. That's how contracts work. You have to give a little to get a little.
Okay, so let me press a little, because you were anti this contract. You said it's exactly the numbers that we all expected, and now you're saying you like it.
Well, with the deferred money, it's going to bring the A down quite a bit. I was also expecting him to get like 80 million instead of 66 million. So, like, I think that's a pretty significant difference there. I think it just makes sense. Like, with the deferred money, the AAV is going to be what, like 19, 20 million, somewhere around there. Yeah, totally fine. Less than what I thought he'd end up getting. So I'm fine with it. Like, they got it done. They can move on. We don't have to keep talking about it for the next 3 weeks. Figuring
you
out
say that now. I mean, what are we going to talk about for the next 3 weeks? I'm like, just keep these rumors coming, folks.
Well, in 2 weeks, we have the Roki Sasaki can officially sign, and then there's a week period where he actually has to sign. So that'll dominate a bit of January. Now we move on to Tanner Scott. Tanner Scott rumors for the next 2 weeks.
Matt, I think the A+ version of this contract for me would have been 2 years if they could have found a way to get this to 2 years, even if it was a higher AAV. And that said, 22 million AAV with deferrals involved in it. Like this is an A- at worst contract grade for me, maybe an A. It just feels like as things went on, this was, if you had told all of us 2 months ago he was going to sign for this contract, we all would have like rushed out the door to make sure it happened.
Yeah, I mean, sure, in a perfect world, 2 years, like that's where you would have wanted this to have landed. I never considered that a realistic possibility, even as like the stalemate kind of, and he, was going on and he lingered in free agency and all that. It never crossed my mind that, oh, maybe this will work in the Dodgers' favor and now he will have to sign 2 years. Like I figured some team would give him 3. The money is what I was most worried about. I thought the AAV would get up to closer to 30 per year.
Yeah.
At least early on. Again, once he a team didn't really jump at signing him after Soto went to the Mets, like that was a little telling. And it'd been coming out for the past 2 weeks or so that he was looking in this range of 22 to 24 million per year. And so I have no problem with the deal. I know I've told you guys, look, like if the Dodgers win 1 World Series in the next 3 years with this contract, then it already is worth it. And whatever, like I think there's still reason to believe, Jeff, I know we have a live Sunday night show coming up that we're probably going to, rehash some of this as well. So I don't want to completely get into it, but there's reason to expect some regression from Teoscar Hernandez. I think what we saw from him this year was A+ across the board for the most part. And is he going to replicate that? Not necessarily. Like, that would be difficult to do. But I think the first 2 years, you'll still get good enough production and value there. And if you win a World Series once within the next 3, then the contract was certainly more than worth it.
Laura says, Dodger heads are the best. Thank you for being the voice of reason. Always. Teo is a Dodger. Absolutely, Laura. Thank you. You remained faithful to Teo, and you kept your emotions. You weren't mad at anybody. You allowed this thing to play out a little bit, and now everybody's happy. Everybody gets what they want. So as always, Laura, we appreciate you. One of the OGs of Dodger heads. Edgar Martinez says, Roki news ? Blake, we have none, right? Like, have the Dodgers even officially met with Roki?
Not reportedly. And he took meetings with like 5 teams leading up to Christmas. And then there's kind of that delay where nothing really happens during the holiday time there. So we'll probably hear more pretty soon. He can't officially sign until January 15th. And then when that date opens, he has to sign by January 23rd. So it's going to be a pretty quick process from here on out, but it's still a bit of waiting at this point. So nothing really has changed.
Siege Root says, Ve por tu sueño. Teo is back, baby. So is it Tanner Scott and Roki to close out the offseason, or are they going for a major trade deal for something too? I'm happy this team doesn't cry poor. Tanner Scott, Roki Sasaki, and Kike Hernandez. Those are the 3 names that we kicked around. And again, I think there's a world where all 3 of them end up as Dodgers. I don't think the Dodgers aren't picking 2 of the 3. Of course, I would say Kike Hernandez especially is most dependent on a move, an external move happening, a spot on the 40-man roster, 2 spots on the 40-man roster really opening up in order to make room for him. But the Dodgers, it's safe to say, Sage Roots are not, they're not crying poor, Matt. They've got time, they've got money. And like we said, I mean, even a guy like Tanner Scott, who could make 14 to 16, $18 million a year, the Dodgers might very well still be in on him.
Yeah, and I think, another thing to keep in mind, too, is for the Dodgers, because of where they've been with the luxury tax penalties, every dollar spent is basically double. So not only are they willing to keep reinvesting in this team, but it is costing them certainly financially. Like, it's not just, this Teoscar deal, for example. It's not just the $66 million. Like, there is added implications onto that and every other sort of contract that they do. And I think, look, we have been critical. I know me, certainly, Blake and I, like, we were, pretty critical, frustrated with the Dodgers front office a couple of years ago with how they handled the trade deadline. And I mean, Blake and I were on the same page saying they basically just punted the season and whatever happens, happens. Now, I think we've seen since last year.
Did make history, Matt.
True. Yes. Thank you for reminding me. How could I forget that? We've seen since last offseason that, they are basically, I don't know how other way to say this right now, like going for broke in a sense, but they're certainly not broke in a financial standpoint because, as Jeff Passan has said, as we have said, like, they are printing money at this point. And I think, they deserve as much criticism as they got from us and others. Like, they deserve a lot of credit and praise now and, committing to this team and really wanting to win as many World Series as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Matty Man wants you to go burn your pants, by the way, Blake, just in case you're one. They're brand new. It's a Christmas present, Matty. You just got to get in the Christmas spirit here, okay? Let the man be happy over here. Anthony says, what do you think happens next for the Dodgers? Blake, what's the next Dodgers announcement we get?
I think it's Tanner Scott or nothing for a bit. I don't think Kike and Kershaw are signing until spring training, like I discussed earlier. We still have like a month until Roki signs, so if you want to include that, then he might be next. But I think it's like not necessarily Tanner Scott, but relief pitcher addition or waiting till Roki.
Matt?
I think it's a trade to free up some 40-man roster spots.
You took my spot. Hunter Fiducia getting sent out is my prediction for the next move that happens.
Yeah, I'll give you credit then for taking it a step further, but I do think that there's something like with just needing to make room.
Yeah, Fiducia, Chris Taylor, again, Outman, Michael Grove. Those are 4 guys that I think are kind of, it wouldn't impact the 2025 Dodgers if one of the 4 of those players was gone, and yet it would open up a 40-man roster spot. Ederico, similar question. What's the next signing you guys think must happen for the Dodgers? Matt, I'm kind of beyond there being a must-have at this point. If the Dodgers did nothing else, they would be awesome next year. So I don't. My answer is I don't know. Maybe I would accuse myself of a cop-out, but I don't think there's anything that's a must-have. I think we've moved past. They've solved all of their problems already.
Well, you're a better person than I am, because if any of our viewers who are with us live or listeners on podcasts after the fact saw our wish list video that we put up, I think Christmas Eve, that went up on our YouTube channel, and I think we did a podcast episode for it also. You know that I think the Dodgers need to really show that they are serious about winning World Series by re-signing Teoscar Hernandez. So that is a must for me, because if not, you're losing an all-time playoff legend, and that would just be disappointing for a team with as lofty aspirations as the Dodgers appear to have.
Blake, do you have a must for the Dodgers?
I wouldn't call it a must, but I think an additional relief pitcher is still pretty high up there. Like, I don't think it's going to be a detriment to the team if they don't get one, but you essentially need someone to replace the Daniel Hudson role. Brewster Gratterall is going to be out for half the season, if not more. I think they could really benefit from one more additional reliever that they can rely on. And that was on Dave Roberts' wish list as well. So they got to complete his wish list.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. Yeah, we did get some news, by the way. Walker Buehler is going to be wearing number 0 in Boston. So I don't know if there's a hidden meaning in there somewhere, but there's that. So I don't know, Blake, does that bring a smile to your face?
That's for the amount of playoff starts he's going to make in Boston.
Well, that's fair. You can insult Boston all you want.
Yes.
Just keep Walker Buehler's name out your mouth, as some would say.
But Blake might have to, Boston Blake might have to be careful. He may not be so welcomed out there anymore after that.
I could have been meaning that he's just not going to make their playoff rotation when they announce it. Or I could have meant that Boston is making the playoffs at all. So you can take that however you want it to be.
I did just realize your Peyton Pritchard jersey probably goes with those sweatpants, huh?
I have a Jason Tatum.
Do you really have a Jason Tatum jersey? Oh gosh, that would have been.
It's actually a Brian Scalabrine.
That would be, all of those are so disrespectful to Sports Illustrated Athlete of the Year, Jaylen Brown. I'm surprised Blake isn't supporting.
Was he really a Sports Illustrated Athlete of the Year?
He might have been NBA specifically, but yes, he was just named something. It might have been NBA Athlete of the Year or something, but Jaylen Brown definitely was just recognized as something.
Yeah, Shohei was the AP Male Athlete.
Yeah,
of the Year.
Was AP. Shohei was AP.
That's NBA Player of the Year. That's insane. Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah, Blake, I'm glad and also surprised you don't have a Celtics jersey.
I don't actually care about basketball.
Where do you think Kike will go? Matt and I are firmly on he's back with the Dodgers. Blake, do you agree with that?
Probably, but just to bring balance to the show, as Matt always says, I'll say he's a Padre. He considered them before. The Padres need to cut some payroll, and then they'll add another infielder probably.
Is he? So you're saying Kike is their Ha-Sung Kim replacement?
Yeah, I'm just bringing balance to the show. Don't blame me.
No,
Last time somebody picked the Padres and tried to bring balance to the show. I'm just saying it didn't go so well for them, Blake. Okay.
It went well for the Dodgers, though.
Sign stealing scandal wants to know, and this is kind of a mechanical question here. Can we get a Roki Passenbaum before January 15th and he signs officially after? Matt, I believe the answer is yes, right? Like he's obviously can negotiate with teams prior to January 15th. It just can't become official.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he could have met with the Dodgers on the first day and said, I'm sold, and that's where I'm signing, and then gone and enjoyed, the holiday and the new year. But they need to make sure that there's no collusion or anything and that this is all above board. So he's going through the process and considering all these teams equally. Maybe the Dodgers, get their meeting with him at some point. Hopefully, I know that they would certainly appreciate that opportunity. But yes, he could decide where he wants to go at any point. Nothing would be official, which the Teoscar Hernandez thing contract that we've spent the last, hour discussing is not official yet either. Like he's made his decision, but there is no pen to paper yet. And so theoretically that could happen with Roki. I don't know how likely it is. Maybe we get it a day early type thing. But yeah, I mean, he technically can do something like that. Yes.
I love that there's people in the chat learning that Blake is a Celtics fan for the very first time. It's great content. This is a good question from Alleluia Blake. Who has a longer career with the Dodgers, Dustin May or Tony Gonsolin?
That's a good question. I feel like Dustin May, just because I don't think they'd give up on him as quickly or like be willing to trade his potential as much as they would be with Gonsolin. So I'll probably go with May.
Gonsolin technically has one extra year of team control for what it's worth.
Also, if we're talking about like extra games actually played, it might be different too. So,
but you're going Dustin May based on talent alone, Matt?
Yeah, I agree. I think Dustin May, and I think also there's more flexibility where if he doesn't pan out as a starter, I know everybody's been calling for it for multiple years to just stick him in the bullpen anyway. Whereas, although and with Gonsolin having an extra year of team control, like that screams trade bait a little bit.
3.19 career ERA for Tony Gonsolin. Give me Tony Gonsolin, baby. Guy just goes out there and gets outs and limits runs.
I think Gonsolin is very underrated. So
me and you, but look at me and Blake agreeing on something.
I just don't like see as much where he fits necessarily on the team long term kind of thing. Like he seems like a guy they would trade pretty easily, especially if they get Roki. Yeah. And maybe next year, like Bobby Miller has his comeback, bounce back type season, and then you add an Emmett Sheehan and River Ryan back eventually. Like it's just you have to consider all the names, and it seems like they'd be more willing to give up on Gonsolin.
Yeah, Gonsolin's hilarious. I mean, so he didn't pitch in 2024. He was very bad in 2023. So those are like the massive caveats that I'm not slowly putting to the side. I'm just putting them out there for everybody to see.
I will say, and to further your point, Jeff, like Gonsolin, I am convinced, like he pitched injured.
Yeah.
So like a lot of the struggles, I think, can reasonably be attributed to that.
The 4 seasons prior to 2023, so 40 innings in 2019, short in 2020, 55 innings in 21, and then 130 innings in 2022. He never once had an expected ERA over 3.85. Now, his real ERA, Matt, for those that are curious, was 3 of the 4 years were sub 3. So, like, he has been very productive and successful. He had a 2.7 wins above replacement in 2022. So he has it in him. Obviously, it's not sexy. It's not a ton of strikeouts, but he sort of got the job done. So there we go. All right, Blake, any last thoughts here on Teoscar Hernandez before we sign off?
I think we got to them all, and until we hear like the actual AAV and everything that his contract works out to and the true total value of the deal.
Yeah.
I probably don't really have anything else to add.
Okay.
Save it
Matt,
for a Sunday show. Anything
for you, Matt?
No, not too much. I mean, honestly, I just want to express my gratitude for everybody who joined us. It's a Friday afternoon or kind of early evening breaking news, and we got it up to over 4,000 people, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, and a great interaction with all the chat. And, I enjoy that we get to talk baseball, but also have some fun, whether it's Disneyland, food, Blake's polo outfits, Blake loving the Celtics. Like we touch all the bases here on this show, and it's just a lot of fun for us. And I just want everybody to really know that we appreciate you guys every single time.
Absolutely. Well said, Matt. Well said. That is Blake. That is Matt. I am Jeff. Also, shout out to Scott, who is on with us. If you are new here, please subscribe, ring the notification bell. Whenever there's breaking news, we're here live with it. We will be back live on Sunday night. I believe it'll be Matt and I on Sunday night covering the show. So we will be there. You can check out Dodger Blue 1958 on social media, DodgerBlue.com. And again, we're part of the medium large sports media group. We're grateful to be a part of that as well. So enjoy the rest of your day, folks. Teoscar Hernandez, December 27th. You had to wait a little bit, but Teoscar Hernandez is officially back with the Dodgers. 3 years, $66 million with some deferrals and a team option as well. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. As always, go Dodgers.